Listen closely. This world doesn't reward the distracted, the hesitant, or the comfortable. It crowns the focused, the ones who cut through noise with the precision of a blade, the ones who move like a shadow, calm, calculating, unshakable. That's the version of you I'm talking to right now. The version buried under notifications, cheap impulses, and the endless pull of other people's desires. You've been handing out your attention like it's worthless, but attention is power. Attention is leverage. Attention is destiny, and the man who controls his attention controls his life and everyone drifting inside it. Today, you step into a different mindset, a colder one, a clearer one, a Machiavellian, strategic, razor-focused state where every thought is deliberate and every action is aimed at dominance over your own path. But before we go deeper, I need you to anchor this transformation. Comment the phrase, "My focus is my fortress." Write it, claim it, reinforce it. Because from this moment forward, you're not becoming a better version of yourself. You're becoming an untouchable one, the kind who eliminates distractions with a calm, merciless discipline. The kind who builds power quietly, moves strategically, and conquers internally before conquering externally. Now say the phrase again in the comments. Number 1, the battlefield of attention. In this moment, I want you to see the battlefield for what it truly is. A world built to steal your mind before it ever steals your time. Every message, every distraction, every whisper from weak men is a hook designed to pull you off your path. The powerful understand this game, and they play it with ruthless clarity. They guard their focus like a king guards his throne, because they know the throne means nothing if the mind sitting on it is fractured. You must become colder now, sharper, more deliberate with every breath. Strip away anything that dulls your edge. Cut the noise before the noise cuts into you. Let your silence become a strategy and your discipline a weapon that never dulls. Comment the phrase, "My focus is my fortress," again, because repetition builds reality, and your reality is shifting. Feel the weight of every wasted moment you refuse to repeat. Feel the rise of a new self built on intention rather than impulse. The world bends for man who refuses to bend for his impulses. Say the phrase once more in comments, anchor it, and step deeper into the mindset that makes you untouchable. Number 2, the war against modern weakness. In this second phase, you confront the uncomfortable truth that the world is engineered to drain the sharpest parts of your mind without ever making a sound. It doesn't attack you directly. It infiltrates you through convenience, comfort, and subtle seductions that feel harmless until you realize entire years have been stolen. That is why you must begin operating like a strategist rather than a spectator. Analyzing every influence in your environment with the cold precision of someone who has chosen power over pleasure. Distraction is not accidental. It is a weapon used by systems that benefit from your weakness, from your hesitation, from your scattered mind. To counter this, you must cultivate an internal discipline that grows heavier than your urges, stronger than your impulses, and calmer than the chaos around you. This is the psychological divide between the masses and the self-directed few. While most men chase stimulation, you chase sovereignty. While they drown in noise, you rise in silence. While they surrender their attention, you consolidate yours like a ruler gathering authority. This path requires severity, but severity is the birthplace of mastery. Comment again the phrase, "My focus is my fortress," because repetition programs identity and identity reshapes destiny. Every time you write it, you reinforce the truth that your mind is a kingdom and only a fool leaves his gates unguarded. From now on, treat everything that interrupts your focus as an enemy disguised as convenience. Treat every wasted moment as a debt you refuse to pay twice. The man who learns to withhold his attention becomes unpredictable, unreadable, untouchable, because he is no longer governed by impulses, but by intention. This is where real power begins, in the silence where distractions die and resolve is forged. Comment, "My focus is my fortress," once more to anchor the mindset that elevates you above the noise. Let this commitment become the contract you make with yourself, a binding oath that no distraction, no weakness, and no external force will ever outweigh your determination to rise, refine your mind, and build unshakable command over your own destiny. Number 3. Cutting away the internal enemy. In this phase, you begin to realize that mastery over your focus is not just a skill, but a declaration of psychological independence, a silent rebellion against every force that ever tried to shape you into something weaker than you were meant to be. The world thrives on men who are easily swayed, easily distracted, easily manipulated, and every distraction you eliminate is a signal that you are no longer participating in that quiet surrender. You must evolve into a man who approaches his attention like a weapon that must be sharpened daily, a man who studies his own weaknesses with a cold, strategic eye and cuts them off before they grow into chains. Understand this: influence belongs to the man who cannot be pulled off his path, the man whose priorities are carved into him like stone, the man whose mind has been trained to return to purpose the moment it begins to drift. That is the type of man you are forging now. Comment the phrase, "My focus is my fortress," again, because anchoring your identity is the first step toward dominating your internal world. As you move through this transformation, you will notice that people who once demanded your attention will start to shrink away, threatened by your clarity, unsettled by your discipline, intimidated by your refusal to entertain anything meaningless. Good. Power is not given to the agreeable, it is given to the unshakable. Each distraction you reject becomes another brick in the mental stronghold you are constructing, a fortress that protects your goals from the intrusion of mediocrity. You must learn to feel no guilt for choosing your mission over meaningless noise, because guilt is just another tool used to weaken the determined comment, "My focus is my fortress," once more, and let the repetition carve certainty into your psyche. When you rise above distraction, you rise above manipulation. And when you rise above manipulation, you rise above the entire structure designed to keep men ordinary. This is the moment you step into psychological sovereignty, where your mind becomes untouchable and your will becomes absolute. Number 4. The cold rise of mental sovereignty. In this stage, you begin to understand that focus is not merely a tool, but a form of dominance, a silent authority that separates the self-governed from the easily influenced. You start to see how every distraction that once slipped into your life without resistance was actually a test, a probe checking whether you were still soft enough to be redirected by convenience or impulse. Now you refuse to allow such intrusions to survive, because you understand that a man who cannot command his attention cannot command anything else. This realization hardens you, sharpens you, and pushes you toward a version of yourself that moves with intention rather than reaction. Comment the phrase, "My focus is my fortress," to reinforce this shift, because repetition turns discipline into identity and identity into power. As you continue rising, you begin to observe your own patterns with a colder eye, noticing the subtle urges that once dictated your behavior without your awareness. Instead of allowing those impulses to steer you, you intercept them, dissect them, and replace them with actions that align with your mission rather than your mood. This is how power is built, not through explosive effort, but through quiet, relentless consistency that compounds into unshakable inner authority. As your discipline strengthens, people may sense the shift and respond with confusion or discomfort, but their reactions are irrelevant to your evolution. You are no longer moved by pleasing others, you are moved by protecting your purpose. Comment again, "My focus is my fortress," to anchor your identity even deeper, because anchoring creates momentum and momentum creates inevitability. You begin to realize that solitude is not loneliness, but strategy, a sanctuary where you refine your thinking without interference from weaker minds. In that silence, you start to see your life as something you are actively shaping rather than something happening to you. This shift marks the beginning of psychological sovereignty, the point where you take full ownership of your path and refuse to outsource your direction to the chaos around you. From here, every choice you make becomes sharper, every intention becomes heavier, and every action becomes a brick placed carefully in the construction of the man you are becoming. This is the rise of a man who refuses to be ruled by distraction, a man who chooses discipline over impulse, clarity over noise, and purpose over everything small and meaningless. Each day, you strengthen this mindset. You carve deeper lines of discipline into your identity, shaping a version of yourself that cannot be manipulated, diverted, or slowed by anything that does not serve your evolution. You begin to feel a new steadiness within you, a grounded energy that replaces chaos with clarity and hesitation with direction. This is the foundation of true power, the state where your mind becomes a disciplined instrument capable of shaping your destiny without interference, doubt, or delay. From this point forward, you move with clarity, discipline, and purpose, reinforcing the unshakable direction you have chosen for yourself. Number 5. Turning discipline into identity. In this phase, you begin to understand that true power is born the moment you stop negotiating with your own weakness, the moment you stop allowing comfort, impulse, and distraction to bargain for even a fraction of your destiny. You realize that every time you choose discipline over temptation, you are not just strengthening your focus, you are sculpting a mind that becomes immune to manipulation, a mind that cannot be bent by chaos, noise, or the emotional turbulence of undisciplined people. This is where your transformation becomes undeniable, because you start to feel a new weight in your presence, a new gravity pulled from the silent authority you're building within yourself. You begin to act with precision, not guesswork, with intention, not reaction, with clarity, not confusion. Comment the phrase, "My focus is my fortress," to anchor this shift deeper, because each repetition sharpens the identity you are constructing. As you rise, you will notice that the world reacts differently to you. Some will respect your new boundaries, some will challenge them, and some will try to pull you back into the versions of yourself that made them comfortable. You must remain unmoved. A man who seeks power cannot bend for the expectations of the unfocused. You must view your goals as non-negotiable, your time as sacred, and your discipline as the shield that guards your becoming. As your internal structure strengthens, you will begin to feel less tolerant of anything that steals your momentum. Mediocre conversations, unproductive habits, and people who operate without direction will all feel heavier than before, not because you are becoming harsh, but because you are becoming aligned, and alignment removes tolerance for anything that dilutes your purpose. In this stage, solitude becomes an even sharper asset because it allows you to refine your plans, sharpen your strategy, and reinforce the mindset that keeps you advancing while others remain stagnant. The man who learns to command his inner world becomes unpredictable, unreadable, and unshakable because he is not fueled by chaos, but by clarity. Comment again, "My focus is my fortress," to lock this mindset in place. Every day you choose discipline over distraction, you widen the gap between who you were and who you are becoming. Every moment you guard your attention, you add force to the identity you're building, and that identity begins to shape your reality in ways that weaker men will never understand. This is where you start to detach from anything that once controlled you, because you now understand that external power means nothing if you have not mastered internal power first. You are becoming the architect of your mental environment, the commander of your thoughts, the guardian of your energy. And with every step you take on this path, you become harder to influence, harder to discourage, and harder to stop. This is the rise of a man who moves with cold purpose, quiet confidence, and unwavering direction. A man who refuses to surrender his focus because he knows his focus is the foundation of everything he will become. Number 6. Forging the fortress of absolute focus. In this phase, you begin to understand that the pursuit of absolute focus is not merely a habit, but a lifelong campaign, a psychological war fought on two fronts: the external world that constantly tries to claim your attention, and the internal world that must be disciplined into loyalty. You recognize that every distraction, no matter how small, no matter how harmless it appears, is a strategic attack on your potential, a debt you pay with your future strength. And the man who learns to see distraction as an enemy rather than an inconvenience becomes the kind of man who can no longer be bent by the noise that governs weaker minds. This is where your mindset evolves from simple discipline into something colder, something more calculated, something rooted in the realization that your attention is the source of your becoming. You start to move differently, think differently, observe differently, because you now understand that the mind is either a weapon or a weakness, depending on how ruthlessly you sharpen it. This is the stage where you refine the art of internal command, where every thought is filtered, every impulse is questioned, every decision is weighed against the man you are determined to become. Comment the phrase, "My focus is my fortress," to anchor this identity deeper. As the days pass, you begin noticing how people unconsciously try to pull you off your path, not out of malice, but out of habit, out of their own addiction to chaos, out of their inability to operate without noise. When they see you rising into silence, into intention, into self-governed clarity, they feel threatened by what your evolution says about their stagnation. And instead of rising with you, many will attempt to drag you back down into the patterns they are too afraid to abandon. You must stay unmoved. Power demands separation before it grants elevation. If you wish to become untouchable, you must be willing to detach from everything that tries to claim your mind without earning it. This detachment is not cruelty, it is self-preservation. A man who wants to build internal power cannot remain available to the world that once diluted him. You must choose your energy with the precision of a strategist, giving access only to those who respect the direction you are heading. As you rise, solitude becomes your training ground. It becomes the place where you strip away the illusions that once controlled you and rebuild your inner world with intention rather than impulse. In solitude, you begin to hear your own voice without interference, and that voice becomes sharper, colder, more decisive. Comment again, "My focus is my fortress," to reinforce your psychological armor. With time, you will notice a shift in how you experience life. Tasks that once felt overwhelming now feel manageable. Choices that once confused you now appear clear. Temptations that once distracted you now lose their power. This is not luck. This is the result of internal recalibration. You have begun training your mind to obey your mission rather than your momentary feelings, and that obedience becomes the foundation of unstoppable momentum. The man who can remain focused in a world designed to scatter him becomes a rare force, a presence that cannot be ignored or manipulated. You develop a calm intensity that others feel even when you say nothing. Your silence becomes commanding, your discipline becomes intimidating, your clarity becomes magnetic. People begin to sense that you are not propelled by external validation, but by an internal certainty that cannot be shaken. And certainty, when paired with discipline, becomes power. As you continue this path, you must internalize one final truth. Focus is not something you practice when convenient. It is something you protect with your life, because once you lose it, you lose the thread that pulls you toward your future. You lose the internal structure that holds your mission together. You lose the ability to rise. And that is why you must treat your attention as sacred, guarding it with boundaries that others may not understand but will always respect. This is the stage where you no longer allow your mind to be accessible to anything or anyone that has not earned the right to be there. You become selective with your conversations, intentional with your environment, disciplined with your time. The world may call you distant, cold, or intense, but those labels mean nothing compared to the power you are building. You are not here to be understood. You are here to become formidable. Comment, "My focus is my fortress," once more, to seal this transformation. The more you reinforce this identity, the more your mind aligns with the man you are becoming, a man who is no longer controlled by noise, who no longer bends to impulse, who no longer wastes his life on things that weaken him. You are building the internal architecture of a man who cannot be shaken, cannot be redirected, cannot be stopped. This is the rise of a mind forged in discipline, sharpened in solitude, and strengthened by absolute focus. This is where you become untouchable. Number 7, commanding your inner kingdom. In this stage, you begin to understand that true mastery over your life demands mastery over your internal world. And mastery over your internal world demands a level of focus so sharp, so unyielding, so uncompromising that it creates a psychological divide between you and the rest of humanity. You begin to recognize that most people are not living, they are drifting, pulled in every direction by their impulses, their emotions, their habits, and the expectations of others. They are controlled by noise, ruled by distraction, enslaved by the illusion of choice while never choosing anything that truly builds them. But you are not here to drift. You are here to dominate. You are here to rise into a version of yourself that moves with ruthless intention and cold clarity, a version that no longer bows to the weakness of convenience or the seduction of chaos. This is where you begin to treat your mind like a kingdom under constant siege, defending it with strategy, discipline, and relentless self-awareness. Every thought becomes something you monitor. Every impulse becomes something you interrogate. Every distraction becomes something you eliminate without hesitation. Comment the phrase, "My focus is my fortress," to anchor this transformation deeper, because the identity you reinforce is the identity you become. As you move into this level of focus, you start to realize how rare this mindset truly is, and how few men ever rise to this point. The world is designed to keep you at the surface level of yourself, never still, never disciplined, never powerful. Distraction is not random, it is engineered, it is built into the culture, woven into your habits, embedded into the systems you interact with daily. It is the silent weapon that keeps men weak without ever showing its blade. But now that you see it, you cannot unsee it. And once you know the truth, you become responsible for how you respond to it. This is where your mindset becomes sharper, colder, more tactical. You begin to audit everything that enters your mind. Every voice, every habit, every environment, every influence. If it weakens you, it must go. If it distracts you, it must be removed. If it slows your momentum, it must be cut away without apology. This level of self-governance is not normal, and it will set you apart. But that separation is exactly where your rise begins. As your clarity increases, so does your detachment. You begin to detach from people who drain you, from habits that fracture your attention, from conversations that carry no value, from goals that were never truly yours. This detachment is not emotional coldness. It is strategic elevation. You are not withdrawing from the world. You are rising above it. And as you rise, the world below begins to reveal itself for what it truly is, a place of noise, chaos, confusion, and distraction designed for those who refuse to think for themselves. You begin to realize that your mind is becoming a controlled environment, a place where your thoughts are disciplined, your priorities organized, your emotions tempered. This internal control is the foundation of all external power. The man who cannot control himself will always be controlled by the world. But the man who governs himself becomes untouchable. Comment again, "My focus is my fortress," to strengthen this identity, because the repetition becomes the psychological cue that reinforces the discipline you are forging. As your focus intensifies, you will feel a growing sense of inner silence, a silence that replaces fear with strategy, anxiety with preparation, confusion with purpose. You begin to make decisions faster, think more clearly, and act with a confidence that does not require validation. You stop seeking permission and start seeking progress. You stop explaining yourself and start executing. You stop hoping for change and start becoming the force that creates change. This is the point where your focus stops being a habit and becomes a weapon. You wield it deliberately, pointing it only at what serves your growth, your evolution, your dominance. And the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. You begin to understand the true nature of discipline. It is not restriction, but liberation. It frees you from the impulsive version of yourself that once sabotaged your own potential. It frees you from the emotional storms that once dictated your decisions. It frees you from the chaos that once kept you small. Discipline is the key that unlocks the higher version of who you are meant to be. In this stage, you start setting boundaries that once felt impossible. You stop giving unlimited access to people who have not earned it. You stop allowing your energy to be drained by meaningless noise. You stop tolerating anything that pulls you away from your mission. Your life becomes directional, intentional, streamlined. Every action serves a purpose. Every moment carries weight. Every choice is aligned with the identity you are constructing. And as you maintain this focus, you begin to realize that most people will never operate at this level, not because they cannot, but because they fear the silence where their true self is revealed. But you have chosen the path few men dare to take, the path of internal sovereignty, the path of psychological refinement, the path of becoming a man who commands himself so completely that the world no longer has any power over him. Comment, "My focus is my fortress," once more, because you are not just repeating a phrase, you are sealing the identity of a man who is rising into an unshakable version of himself. This is the evolution of a mind built on discipline, sharpened by intention, and strengthened through relentless focus. This is where you become unstoppable. Number 8. Silence, strategy, and the Machiavellian ascension. In this phase, you begin to realize that the true measure of a powerful mind is not how intensely it acts, but how intelligently it directs its energy, how intentionally it moves, and how ruthlessly it protects the mental battlefield on which all success is built. You start to recognize that every goal you chase, every dream you hold, every standard you set is born first in the hidden chambers of your attention, because your attention is the architect of your reality. This truth forces you to confront the ways in which your focus has been stolen, diluted, manipulated, and redirected by forces that never had your best interests in mind. You begin to see how modern life encourages a fragmented mind, a distracted mind, a weakened mind. Because a weakened mind is predictable, and predictable men are easy to influence. But you are no longer willing to be predictable. You are no longer willing to be distracted. You are no longer willing to live as anything less than the most powerful version of yourself. This is where the evolution sharpens. You begin to treat your thoughts like soldiers, and your attention like a general overseeing a war. You give every thought a purpose, dismiss every distraction with authority, and command your mind with a calm, unbreakable presence. Comment the phrase, "My focus is my fortress," to anchor this control deeper, because identity becomes reality when reinforced with consistency. As you move through this transformation, you start understanding that mental power is built in 3 layers: the clarity of your vision, the discipline of your habits, and the sovereignty of your attention. Vision gives direction, discipline gives momentum, attention gives power. When these 3 align, the world becomes a field of opportunities rather than obstacles. You no longer react to life, you orchestrate it. You no longer seek motivation, you embody it. You no longer wait for change, you create it with deliberate force. This is where you begin to operate with a level of calm intensity that other men cannot define. They see you withdrawing from meaningless conversations, stepping away from the noise, tightening your circle, refining your environment, and they misunderstand your silence as arrogance. But you know better. Your silence is not arrogance, it is strategy. It is the refusal to scatter your energy where it has no return. It is the decision to invest your attention into things that multiply your strength instead of diminishing it. This silence becomes your edge, because while others waste their energy proving themselves to the world, you build yourself in private. This is the difference between men who rise and men who remain average. And as you continue ascending, you start noticing how effortless focus becomes when you strip away the mental clutter that once consumed you. You begin to feel a deeper connection to your goals, as if the path forward is no longer clouded by hesitation or doubt. This clarity empowers you to make decisions with precision rather than confusion, and that precision becomes a weapon that multiplies your progress. Comment again, "My focus is my fortress," to reinforce your mindset. As this evolution continues, you also become aware of a new power emerging within you. Emotional discipline. You begin to understand that emotions are not commands, but signals, and you decide which ones you obey. This is the moment you begin mastering yourself on a level most men never reach. Emotional discipline allows you to move forward regardless of fear, to stay consistent regardless of mood, to maintain direction regardless of obstacles. You no longer fall into cycles of inconsistency because your commitment is no longer emotional. It is structural. It is carved into your identity. It is etched into your daily habits. It is embedded in the man you are becoming. This level of discipline makes you untouchable because you no longer crumble under pressure. You sharpen under pressure. You no longer panic when challenges appear. You analyze, adapt, and advance. You no longer avoid difficulty. You dominate it. Your mind becomes a battlefield where doubt dies and determination grows. You operate with a seriousness that others may find intimidating, but that intimidation is simply the presence of someone who has built himself internally. As your focus strengthens, your standards rise. You stop tolerating things you once accepted. You stop entertaining options that once distracted you. You stop compromising your values for temporary comfort. You stop giving your energy to people who drain you. You stop wasting time on anything that does not align with the future you are building. Your life becomes cleaner, sharper, simpler, and in that simplicity, your power multiplies. This is the phase where the old version of you begins to fade completely, replaced by a disciplined, strategic, self-governed man who moves with purpose and clarity. Comment, "My focus is my fortress," one more time, because the man you are becoming is someone who chooses mastery over mediocrity every single day. You are rising, sharpening, evolving into a version of yourself that is no longer controlled by impulse or noise, but guided by intention and strength. This is the path to becoming untouchable. Number 9, the separation from the ordinary mind. In this phase, you begin to understand that becoming untouchable is not about appearing powerful to the world, but about constructing an internal reality where nothing external has the ability to weaken, distract, or derail you. You start to see that the greatest threats to your evolution are not out there in the world. They are inside you, disguised as hesitation, impulse, doubt, and the quiet voice that tries to lure you back into comfort every time you attempt to rise. This is where the real battle begins, because the mind resists transformation with the same intensity it resists danger, and if you are not vigilant, it will trick you into surrendering your potential in exchange for temporary ease. But you are no longer the man who obeys his weaker self. You are becoming the man who disciplines his inner world with the same cold strategy a ruler uses to maintain order in his kingdom. You begin to watch your thoughts like a hawk, noticing the lies you once believed without question. Lies about limitations, lies about identity, lies about what you are capable of achieving. When those thoughts surface now, you cut them down with the sharpness of your new focus. This is where you realize that the mind can be trained like a soldier. Strict commands, relentless repetition, and zero tolerance for mental behaviors that weaken your power. Comment the phrase, "My focus is my fortress," to reinforce this identity. As you continue advancing, you begin to recognize that discipline is no longer something you force. It is something you have become. Instead of chasing motivation, you operate from commitment. Instead of waiting for the right moment, you create the right moment. Instead of falling into inconsistency, you move with a momentum that intimidates anyone still living in the lower frequencies of existence. You start to feel a separation between you and the world, a widening gap between your clarity and their confusion. This separation is not isolation, it is elevation. You do not feel above others, you feel above who you used to be, and that feeling becomes addictive. You begin to crave growth, crave structure, crave the quiet satisfaction that comes from mastering yourself day after day. The distractions that once pulled you apart now bore you. The people who once drained you now reveal themselves as obstacles. The habits that once controlled you now feel like insults to your new identity. This is not arrogance, it is awareness. Your standards have risen, and anything that does not meet those standards naturally falls away. You stop chasing approval because approval is meaningless compared to the authority you are building within yourself. You stop fearing loss because loss simply creates space for alignment. You stop doubting your path because your actions have proven your direction. Comment again, "My focus is my fortress," to strengthen this transformation. As you continue this rise, something unexpected begins to happen. Your mind becomes quieter, not empty, controlled, not emotionless, disciplined, not rigid, strategic. You develop an inner stillness, a grounded presence that allows you to move through the world without being pulled by its chaos. You observe instead of absorbing. You respond instead of reacting. You choose instead of drifting. This stillness becomes your hidden advantage, because while others are overwhelmed by noise, you are guided by clarity. While others waste energy on what does not matter, you invest your energy only where it multiplies. While others crumble under pressure, you perform best under pressure because pressure exposes your refinement, not your weakness. This is the stage where doubt loses its power, where fear loses its authority, where distraction loses its grip. You begin to understand that you do not rise by chance. You rise by design. You create yourself through the discipline you practice, the focus you protect, the boundaries you enforce, and the silence you embrace. Every day you stay on this path, you pull further away from the man you once were and closer to the man you were meant to become. This is the evolution that separates you from the ordinary, the transformation that makes you untouchable, the mindset shift that grants you psychological sovereignty. Comment, "My focus is my fortress," once more, because that phrase is no longer just a statement. It is the foundation of your becoming. Number X, the final evolution, becoming unshakable. In this final phase, you understand that becoming untouchable is the result of 1,000 disciplined choices, each one sharpening your identity and fortifying the mindset that now defines you. And this awareness becomes the foundation upon which your power stands, unshaken by noise, distraction, weakness, or the expectations of anyone who has not walked your path. You begin to realize that true strength comes not from aggression or display, but from the internal command you have built through silence, intention, and relentless focus. And this command grants you the ability to move through life with a calm authority that others cannot easily decode or influence. You see now that every distraction you conquered was a doorway to deeper dominance over yourself, proving that the man who controls his attention controls his emotions, his actions, his habits, and ultimately his destiny. And this understanding becomes the core of your personal power. You recognize that the world will always attempt to reclaim your focus with temptations, noise, chaos, and emotional hooks. Yet none of these forces can reach you anymore because you have trained your mind to respond only to purpose, not to impulse, and that discipline separates you from the masses. You understand that solitude is no longer a retreat, but a forge, a space where you refine your thinking, strengthen your strategy, and reinforce the identity you have chosen with full awareness. And in that solitude, you feel the rise of a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken by circumstances or opinions. You begin to operate with a clarity that turns your goals into inevitabilities, because your focus has stripped away every obstacle that once diluted your direction. And now you move with a level of precision that makes progress feel natural instead of forced, aligned instead of chaotic, intentional instead of reactive. You see that your boundaries are no longer barriers, but gateways, filtering out the weak influences that once drained your mental energy. And by protecting your time with the seriousness it deserves, you elevate the quality of your decisions, your relationships, your actions, and your evolution. You notice that people treat you differently now, sensing the gravity in your presence, the sharpness in your silence, and the steadiness in your energy. And this shift reveals who respects your rise, who fears your rise, and who cannot keep up with the man you are becoming. You understand that discipline has become effortless, not because life became easier, but because you became stronger. And now effort itself feels different, heavier, more intentional, driven by the identity you forged through every moment of focus you protected against distraction and doubt. You begin to realize that your purpose is no longer a distant vision, but a living force inside you, guiding your decisions, refining your actions, and shaping your future with a clarity that eliminates hesitation. And this alignment gives you the power to move without fear, without confusion, and without apology. You know now that you have become the kind of man who cannot be manipulated, diverted, or slowed because your mind is anchored in discipline, your emotions are tempered by awareness, and your actions are governed by intention. And this structure makes you untouchable in a world built on distraction. You accept that this transformation is permanent as long as you protect it, reinforce it, and honor it. And with this acceptance, you rise into the final truth. Your focus is the foundation of your power, your fortress against weakness, and your pathway to the highest version of yourself.